Hey guys, Anthony from Keep It Creative. I just picked up a cheap laser cutter. It's a Chinese laser cutter. I got it plus a bunch of little extras that are really going to pay off in the future for just over $2,000. So I'm just going to show you some of the problems that I had with it and how we figured out those problems and fixed them. And it's going to be a great time. So let's show you what we have here. So here's a laser cutter. I got it in pieces right now. When I got it, it came with quite a bit of extras. We got a rotary attachment there. It came with a honeycomb grid table here, putting your material on, which is great so you don't burn the underside of your material. I got a chiller with it. It is homemade, but it's going to do the job. Again, it's just a 60-watt laser, so you know you don't need anything too impressive. Hey Ollie, there's Ollie. And what else? So we got the chiller, we got an extra tube. Let's take a look at the tube over here. Brand new tube. It's another 60-watt tube here. Whoa, let's not damage the tube. We got a blower here, so I'll hook that up to the wall and it should be good enough for this laser. Again, I'll probably end up tuning this laser up and then trying to sell it to make a little bit of a profit and get a bigger, better laser. Because they were selling everything, they had no more use. They also had this sandblaster, so I got that just as an added bonus. So that's great too. So I got the laser. It seems like I got it from a lady. Her husband unfortunately passed away, and he was quite the laser hobbyist. I would say actually turned into his full-time job. But he was in the process, it looks like, on replacing the laser head. I don't know why he got this laser head. It's a little bit more heavy, so he had to make, and in bulkier, so he had to make his own template here. I'm going to try to make my own and get it working, but for now we're just going to put the original laser head on, just because we have all the pieces and I want to get it up and running and making sure everything's in order. And afterwards we'll put on that bigger laser head. I think he just got this just because it's a lot easier to change the lenses and get them cleaned out every day. So that one, you just screw it, pops down, and it's easy to get off. This one's a little bit more tricky. You gotta unscrew a few things and you need a special tool to get inside the lens, and it's just a hassle. So that's most likely why he's switched it up. But again, you can see he was trying to figure out the template, because the template, the holder for the gantry, was just a little too bulky to fit on the laser there. So I guess it was causing him some problems. So I got all these little pieces here, and we're going to try to put it all back together. I think we're good. Oh, and just it was a great deal. I got, I think, yeah, 3 2-inch lenses. They're pretty much brand new. And then we got a ton of extra mirrors. I don't know why he got so many extra mirrors, but he spent some money and got some very good ones as well. So yeah, I'm happy with the purchase. Let's get this thing working. And oh, look at that, he even included his own homemade focus tool. So let's see what we can do with this bad boy, see if there's any problems, see if we can fix them and show you how to do it too. So you can see right off the bat it's pretty dirty, so I'm going to give it a nice cleaning. Most of the problems that you're going to have with your laser is probably going to be because of lack of maintenance. A lot of the things that go wrong with these, especially the Chinese lasers, because they're not really closed off in any way. Your smoke and all your soot that comes off of your burning materials ends up getting into the gears and the pulley systems, and most importantly onto your mirrors and your lenses. And that's when things start to burn out, crack, and for instance, you can see here there's a little bit of soot there. It's probably from an alignment test, but if you don't ventilate properly or you're not cleaning properly, smoke residue will get on your lens right there. There's another one back there, if you can see it, right there. And there's another one on the laser tube. I'll go over this in some future videos, but essentially you'll get a haze on those mirrors, and instead of the laser beam bouncing off of those mirrors and down through onto your material, it kind of absorbs the heat from the laser beam and it ends up damaging your mirrors and your lenses. So that's very bad. We'll go over all this in the future. Again, this is the first video. You can see just filming it from my phone. So it's a bit of a challenge, but we'll probably remake this video again sometime in the future with maybe another laser. But just something for you guys, if you're buying a used laser, maybe a laser from China, sometimes, a lot of the times they don't come in 100% working order, but this should be a good start on all the ins and outs of your first laser. Alright, so if you are getting a laser used, or maybe you're buying one from China or eBay, or you know, it's most likely going to be your first laser if you're buying one of these types of lasers. There's a few things you're going to want to check if you can before you buy, and then if you can't, just check them before you start running anything. So just in case you do find any of these errors, you can let the manufacturer know, and hopefully if they're a reputable company, they'll help you out and get you up and running. For the most part though, your laser tube is what you're going to be worrying about here. So most of the time your laser tube's in the back here, so I'll just open up this hatch here, and you can see there's our laser tube. It's a 60-watt laser tube. So what you want to check, you just want to make sure that there's no cracks in your laser tube. Make sure it's clean, no cracks. You want to make sure that there's no bubbles in it. What will happen if you have a crack in it, your laser tube's pretty much garbage at that point, and that's this is pretty much the most expensive piece that you're going to have in any laser. So you want to make sure that you're taking care of them, taking care of your laser tube, so it lasts as long as it'll last. And we'll get into how you could prolong the life of your laser tube, so you're not cracking or breaking or replacing your tubes all the time. So like I said, I'll just show you here in this angle, there's another lens, and again, some people forget there is a lens on the inside of the tube in there. It's a little bit hard to see, but we'll show you how to clean all these things. I'll do a maintenance video so everyone knows how to clean their lasers properly so they last a long time. So when I got the laser, like I said, it was a mess. It didn't seem like, it seems like the guy, maybe he was too busy. It did seem like his wife told me it started off as a hobby and it just took off real quick, and he quit his day job, and him and her were pumping out the orders all day, every day. So maybe he had no time to clean his laser, but you know, you should always find the time to clean your laser, because this can happen really quickly. And again, if any of these parts get into your rods here, any of onto your lenses, and any of your motors here, it's really going to cake up any movements that you have in those parts, and it's not good in the future. So you know, if you neglect your laser for a week or maybe a month's time, depending on how many jobs you're doing, you're gonna regret it. So just make sure you clean your laser, and again, we'll do a video on how to properly clean your laser. But for the most part, if you vacuum it out every day, you shouldn't have any of this. Just a quick vacuum and a quick wipe down. But most importantly, those lenses have to be clean, and your mirrors have to be clean. So when I mean the lens, maybe if this is your first time with a laser, or you're just getting into it, your lens would go into your laser head here. The lens is inside this laser tube right here, or not a laser tube, but what's holding your lens here, I guess your gantry. So there's a mirror in there. The laser will go in there, bounce down, and then there's a lens in here which will focus that beam to a fine point, blasting it out through there and going down onto your material. And again, we'll get all into this very shortly. So let's take a look at some of the functions here on this laser. Of course, you got your user interface here on your control panel. We'll get into what's going on once we turn it on. and all the things you could do with this. This is a Ruida control panel. If you bought a cheap Chinese laser or you're building your own, this is probably the way you want to go. They're affordable and they have many functions that you can hook up to your laser, like autofocus, switches for if the doors are open or closed for safety. Pretty much anything you want this can do, and it's relatively easy to read. A lot of the control panels that you get are out of date, and so they're just slow, or they're in a different language, or they've been translated, so it's hard to navigate through them. This has everything you need, and you can even plug a USB right into this and laser away right from the USB. You don't have to even hook it up to your computer. So that's great, and we'll show you more of that in a little bit. Moving down, we have a gauge here. Moving down, we have our switches. We have an emergency stop switch, a light switch. Oh, look at that. Didn't even know that. So I was going to install a thermometer in my laser tube in the back panel there where we just showed you the laser tube. It looks like this laser already has a digital thermometer, and it's mounted in the back of that laser. I don't know if it came like this or maybe the previous owner installed that, but that's awesome. You're gonna wanna monitor your laser tube temperature, because it should be operating within a certain temperature. That is going to ensure that your laser lasts a long time. Moving back over to our switches, we got our lift switch. So that'll move your table up and down. If you're lucky, you might have an autofocus where you just push a button. It says autofocus on your control panel, and it'll do that by itself depending on your material. Or you might just have another up-down switch here to make your table go up and down. So for this laser, we have our switch right here. So up, down, and round and round. So we have our power switch to turn on our laser. Sorry, to turn on everything but the laser tube. And then we have a switch to turn the laser tube on. So you're going to want to turn that on, and you're probably going to have to wait a little bit for it to come up to the temperature that you want to use if the laser's with your laser, so your laser lasts as long as possible. That's all I can say about that. And nothing breaks or anything like that. And that's how you ensure that these little things, we'll get into it afterwards. So here we have a rotary attachment. It's pretty basic. You got your stepper motor there with two of the rollers. You can put cups in there and they'll spin them. They'll turn your this movement into a rolling movement, so you can engrave your cups and your bats and your other round objects. And to enable that, so right now if I were to turn this machine on, you're going to be using your movements here, your X and your Y, but if you want to enable your rotary attachment, there's usually a switch right here. I have it removed right now because we did run into some problems, but you would flip that switch and then it would enable your rotary attachment. Again, this might be different on some of your lasers. I work with some lasers where you have to plug your rotary attachment in. Again, I'll show you where to plug that in. I have mine hanging out right now because we ran into some problems, which you can see right there, some broken solder. And some other lasers, you have to turn off your machine completely, plug it in, and then turn it back on for it to be recognized. So luckily with this laser, you just flip that switch and you're off to using your rotary attachment, which is awesome. And last but not least, we have a USB right here, so you could plug in your USB with your files on it, and the files will actually show up. You can actually see a little description of your files right here on the screen, and you can set the settings right here from the screen. You don't even need any other software like RDWorks or anything like that. So that's awesome. I'm used to using my laser like a printer, where I print directly from a file from my computer right to the printer, and it starts. But there's some setbacks to that. Like if you want to share the laser with somebody else, they could just throw it on a USB and plug her in. So that's good.